Whoa, what's up, guys? We have got a flat stage today, but I think we all know what flat means in the course of Vive La France. That basically just means there's not an HT mountain climb. So there's still almost 400 meters of climbing. So it's not going to be flat, for sure. Blair Drader in the chat, who's also racing, said that we have some strong guys joining us today. I assume that means joining us like this is their first race, which is cool. But hopefully I can hang. I am really feeling the effort of this second week. Murphy's asked a good question, which is like, what proportion of these people are doing the full thing versus how many of them are just cherry picking stages? And I said it's about 60-40. There's a few people who are just doing the mountains classification. Ed Laverick has been just popping in for mountain stages, although he did miss one. There's a couple other guys who've been doing that. There's some guys who've been doing the opposite and skipping the big mountain stages and just getting in here for these. And then there's some people who found out about the event late, so they're just kind of like, whenever a race looks good, just jumping in. But yeah, Murphy said that flat stages are not as much respite when you don't have a full team to support and protect you. And that is accurate. Especially when, like me, you feel some sort of compulsion to go for every single stage. Even if you can't get a win, just go full gas every stage. So we are 2 weeks into full gas racing every day except one. Whew, and I'm feeling it. I also weighed in. So I had a crazy day at work today. I was running all over town. Didn't have good nutrition. Didn't have great rest, basically. And weighed in a little heavier today. So this is actually the heaviest I have weighed for one of these stages. I'm at 62 kilos. The lowest I've seen is 60 kilos. So pray for me today, y'all. It's going to be, we might be on the struggle bus today. But tomorrow is my rest day. So don't look for a stream at this time tomorrow, because I'm going to swap to that fast time slot for the Telegraph Olivier stage, which means that basically I'm doing all these stages in terms of like date a day early, because what is midnight in England is 6 p.m. for me the day before. So then when I switch to that last time slot, the one that's really well populated, that gives me a day between. So the only way I can do that without then doing 2 stages in one day to catch back up is hitting the next stage, what is 6 p.m. on the rest day for me. So anyway, no stream tomorrow. Tomorrow's my rest day. And then we got the Queen stage on Sunday, which I will be doing in the 1830 BST time slot. Blair, let me know who you were talking about that are the strong guys. Who should I be watching here? I see at least one herd kid in here. I hadn't seen any herd guys yet. Oh, and as always, you guys let me know how the audio is. I am going to turn, so I found the game audio. That should be the crowd audio from this crowd around us here in the game. So I'm going to turn that on today. But yeah, let me know if you guys can hear my mouth okay. I am going to be today, I've said this before, I'm going to be trying to ride as efficiently as possible. If you guys are, okay, he says Brazzale, Brazzale, couple others, okay. Blair says he's giving me the lowdown on who to look out for. Apparently we got a few guys jumping into the race here, you know, who have not been doing the full stage race, so that's cool to see. I had hoped that that would happen, actually, that people would see this event going on and think, I want to ride these French routes. I want to do this. So that's kind of how I ended up here, actually. Okay, there's Rosale there. Guy off the front didn't seem fully committed to that. I'm going to be extra attentive today, though, since we do have some new names in the mix. But really what I want to do here is, as always, make the front group, but maybe more so than other days. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Bob, I will say some of the guys in the other later time slots ended up smashing that time of mine, but I'm still really happy with it. I did, in terms of like, I think I did like 4.8 watts a kilo or something like that, which can't ask for much more than that. The plan is, when I'm done with this race, I'm gonna take a week off and take a week off, try and absorb some of this training load, and then come back with an FTP test, maybe after a couple of priming efforts, and hopefully have a 300 watt FTP. Okay, thanks for the heads up, Drader. I don't know how Drader manages to chat, like type in the chat while not getting dropped. People always comment on my streams and say, how do you talk while you're riding? And it is definitely a learned skill. Oh, here we go. Crucial moment. But it's also like, I don't know, it's easier for me to talk a little bit than to type, I feel. Maybe it's just, maybe Drader like has a keyboard right here or something. Because I would have to reach over here, which is going to take my eyes off the road a little bit. Yeah, Murphy says that doing hard social group rides in real life trains you for that. That is true. Keyboard on the table, says Drader. That makes sense. See, my setup, all of my gear is over here because I'm afraid I'm going to sweat on it, which someone actually just asked me what happened to Payne yesterday. He literally started sprinting and then he would just disappear from the race. I talked to him after, which I can't believe it took me so long to figure out who that was. That's a guy who used to live in my local area, doesn't anymore, but actually started doing our group rides again during COVID because we were doing things on Zwift, and he's a good group rider. Or he's a good Zwift racer, I mean. But a guy I know and that I've been talking to about the Project Echelon stuff. And he got in here because I suggested to him, you know, that he do some racing on here. And it took me the whole race to figure it out. Yeah, Murphy, Payne Griffin. He got in here yesterday, and he and I were sprinting. So apparently, word on his disappearance, he's not totally sure, but he was running the mobile app on his phone, which he had in his pocket. And I think that that's probably not a great way to go, A. And then he had other apps running in the background. I think probably what happened was, when you're running the mobile app, screen stays on. When the screen's on, you can touch it. And I think when he stood up to sprint, his sweaty back touched the button. Ha! Nice, Murphy. So Murphy apparently just raced with Payne over on Zwift. Yeah, he's a prolific e-racer, and he kind of took some time off recently. But I think this Project Echelon stuff has him pretty stoked. Hopefully it does, because I'm trying to recruit him onto my team. He's kind of like an opposite rider for me, meaning that he's very steady state when I am much more of a repeatable punchy power guy. Although this event is sort of changing that. Ooh, this is a good spot to be. So it's good for me to have someone like that. Yeah, Murphy says obnoxiously high FTP. Yeah, that's what I would say about Payne. I think he's put down a 40-minute altitude lift, if that gives anybody a reference point. He's right around there for sure. I know I raced him up the Alp one time, and he beat me. And I've done the Alp in 42, so 41:30, something like that. So he's got a freakishly strong, like, 40, 60 minutes on him. And but it's good for me to have someone like that as a teammate who can set a really good, steady, hard tempo where I can stay in the wheels. And then when those crucial moments come and I have to jump across a gap or I have to sprint at the end, I'm a little fresher because, kind of like I'm doing right now, I've been able to just really surf the wheels, really stay in the draft. Speaking of which, this one goes out to everyone who says that they keep shooting out the front and out the back on RGT. That's you, dog. You're pedaling too hard. No, that is a real thing, though, like learning to sort of feather the power. A lot of it is also just watching the group and making sure you stay, like, who you're drafting is very important and where they're going. So, like, right there, we were kind of over to the left in our own group. If I wasn't happy with that, or if this group on the right started going away from us, I would have needed to sprint so that I could get out in front and then switch over groups. Really liking this pace today, though. It feels like people are motivated and we're going fast, so I would really love to keep this group pretty big, keep these guys taking good hard turns, because I want to go fast. I want a decent GC time, although I'm always on these stages going to be absolutely bleeding time to that 18:30 time slot, and I've accepted that. But I want to do it as well as I can on GC within the 0030 time slot. So trying to not just give up, trying to stay in it. But that does mean I need these good, solid working groups where, shout out Drader, someone is always doing 4 watts or better on the front, basically. Hopefully, having some of these newer guys in here, some of them will not be totally familiar with the physics yet, and they will be doing the shoot off the front thing. When you have a big group and everyone is doing that, it just raises the speed overall. And if you're able to kind of stay in the middle while everything circulates around you, it's like it's kind of like, imagine a rotating pace line, and if you were just sitting in the middle, not taking pulls, it's like pretty awesome. So maybe we can get some of that effect going. I guess I'll go ahead and pop in this ice up. I'll make sure I stay on here. Another thing about like wasting energy on RGT is your avatar is always looking for an open spot to go through. So in that scenario, pretty good, Scott. How's it going? Well, I say pretty good. This is my 14th race in a row, save for one off day. So, you know, pretty good considering. I haven't died yet, so that's good. But yeah, in that scenario where you're kind of off the back and then you're accelerating to get up toward the group, what you want your avatar to do is get in the middle so you can get some shelter. But if you overdo it, your avatar is always going to look for an open path to go through if it feels like they're going through. So that's going to put you back on the outside of the group, which is going to put you back in the wind, and you'll just be, oh yeah, Winter says not dying is good. That's kind of the objective today. Stay alive. Sweet. Bob says he ordered a. Bob, did you get the Rock and Roll Smart Control? Don't be nervous. Bob says he ordered this trainer, the Rock and Roll Smart Control. Don't be nervous to get on here and jump in. There are actually some. Bob, are you in the RGT groups on Facebook? That's kind of the place to be for finding out about community stuff. But I'll say, if you're a beginner, look up Lou Ricks. He does sweet. He got the Smart Control. Good. Yeah, I think Smart Control, especially when Kinetic has it on sale, it's the best value for the money. Especially if you consider it as a rocker plate, which I do because it's got a lot of motion there. Feels good, especially for 21 stages. But yeah, look up Bob. Look for a guy named Lou Ricks. He puts on some good like chill social group rides on the Borrego Springs course. Those are good learning rides for beginners. You can kind of get a feel for the dynamics and stuff. And you can do the group rides even on a free RGT account. So that's a good place to start. Although, if you have a premium account, it's not a bad idea to set a ride up with a bunch of bots that are kind of like, I don't know, 1 to 2 watts a kilo, 20 or 30 of them, and just get a feel. Yeah, Winter says she's looking at rocker plates and they're around $1,000. Yeah, Winter, that's one of the things. I'm kind of addicted to the rocking motion of the trainer, and it would be hard for me. I think if I go to another trainer, I would need to buy a rocker plate. This trainer, Kinetic trainers, a lot of them have a pivot point. It's basically like a big skateboard truck. There's a rubber bushing in there. And I know people say that's not the most realistic motion because it, moves on this axis or that axis. I'm not super concerned with the realism, although it is good. I really just like the fact that I don't feel totally locked in. Like the fact that I do get a little of this, it just honestly keeps my ass from hurting on these long rides and multiple days in the saddle. But just the feeling of not being like clamped in, it just feels good. So I think if I do eventually go to another trainer, that will mean not just a trainer, but also, this is the outside of the group thing I was talking about. See how my avatar wanted to stay on the outside? You got to slow up a little bit to sort of reset. It would mean buying a new trainer and a rocker plate, which could be kind of a lot. I definitely like the rocker plate for standing and climbing. Winter says she has a IT band knee pain thing. What I do for that, because I get IT band stuff too, I've been very careful about it during this event, just because it's so much volume and so much intensity. I'm not sure if the rocker helps, because how can I compare? Because I just have the rocker. But what I do for IT band stuff is hot bath after the stage, get the blood flowing to the legs. I do a hip and lower back yoga stretching sequence. And then at the tail end, that's like 10 minutes. And then at the tail end of that, foam roll up and down my IT bands. And I make sure to do that before bed, because it will lower your power output if you do it right before you ride. But if you do it right before bed, you're sort of releasing. First of all, it'll make you sleepy. It helps you sleep better. But also, it's going to release all that tension, and then your body can actually like correct the problems overnight, rather than that IT band just being like fully tensed up all night long. And knock on wood, so far so good in this event on IT band stuff. Oh yeah, Murphy says he has the stick, which was like, the stick is like a roller with like a thing that you work your muscles out, right? I'm trying. You guys check the description of this video after. I'll add a link to the hip flexor opening yoga thing that I do. That I went through a bunch of different flows until I found one that really was like targeting the right stuff. So I have one that's like my go-to now. Yeah, Murphy, that's a good idea. He said he does some kettlebell stuff. I wish that the gym was open. Well, it may be, but if it is open, I don't necessarily want to be in there. But I wish I could go to the gym, because I do think I'm losing a little bit of core stability doing all this indoor riding and doing no core work. So this is something, let's talk Tour de France for a second. I mentioned this on Facebook the other day. First of all, Mark Hershey stage win, awesome. Love to see it, especially the guy's been going all out, hell for leather 2 other times, come up second on the stage. So like, the dude definitely earned it, taking the race by the horns. Awesome. But there's always like a thing in the Tour de France that like the average cyclists are going to glom onto. And a few years ago, it was the Super Cup, this thing, when Froome first started doing that. And then it was the Super Tuck while pedaling. I think this year's Super Tuck And I said this on Facebook. Whoops, got to get my head in the game. We got a little hill here, 2.5%. Can't let anybody get away though. Just got to make sure I stay in here and nobody goes all out. Yeah, here she was. He was definitely out for blood. It was awesome. And today's stage was great too. I'm a big EF fan, so I was glad to see them get one. They're the only American-ish team. They have the best looking kits. And love Lachlan Morton. Love Alex Dowsett. They got a lot of interesting weirdos on that team, which I support. Mitch Docker rules. So glad to see them get a stage win today. But the thing this year, the thing from the Tour de France that amateurs are going to glob onto is, yeah, Trek is technically American, but they don't have the American national champion. Yeah, the Colombians. So that's the thing. EF is like Colombians that are awesome and Americans that are awesome. So I gotta support them. It's rad. And one of the only guys I didn't like was Bettyall, but Bettyall's been killing it recently. So I don't know. EF is just ruling. But this year's thing, this year's pedaling super tuck, is what Hirschi was doing, which is grabbing your computer as arrow bars like this and riding in this tucked up position using your computer to stabilize yourself. That is the computer as arrow bars is this year's pedaling super tuck, meaning that it's a thing that a bunch of people just saw for the first time, and they're all going to go try to do it, and it's going to cause massive pileups on your Saturday shop ride because the core strength connection, this is what got me thinking about it. Getting back to the core strength thing, Hirschi can do that. One, he was on his own, so if he crashes, he's just crashing himself, which, you know, more power to you. Take those risks. But two, I guarantee you, he does a bunch of core work, and he does much more volume than all these amateurs that are going to try it, and he practices that position. So when he gets in it, he has the core strength to just hold that. Whereas you're going to have, you know, your random weekend warriors getting out there and being like, well, this is how the Tour de France guys do it. You grab your computer and you go as hard as you can without looking. And they're going to, basically, if you don't have the core strength, that puts a lot of weight on the front wheel. And when your weight is on the front wheel, if you hit anything and the wheel moves, you're done. So I imagine we're going to see some guys going from here to here over the bars. That's my prediction. Yeah, I do forearms on the bars a lot. If any of you guys follow me on Strava, my Strava profile picture is me doing this, which is forearms set on the bend of the bars. There's a few differences. One is I practice it. Two is I only do it on roads that I know. Three is I don't actually put my arms together. I push outward with these parts against the hoods. So then I kind of have like a third point of contact there. But the main thing is really just having the core strength that you can keep your weight here rather than here. If you don't have that core strength, nothing else really matters. I was about to say I was liking this pace, and then we kicked it up a little. Yeah, Murphy says that holding the hoods like that is also aero. I feel like that is a more conventional one for sure. Oh yeah, this is a good position. We are trucking, and I am right in the middle. This is ideal. So yeah, sorry if anybody didn't see today's tour stage yet. Luckily, the things didn't really hit the fan with work today until the afternoon. But that meant my lunch was thrown off. My drinking a bunch of water all afternoon was thrown off. Yeah, Winter says she gets paranoid taking hands off the handlebars after Froome crash. That's fair, because like Froome kind of proved that he was pretty adept at it. He basically won that one Tour de France by doing the pedaling super tough. And so like he knows what he's doing. He's one of the better bike riders in the world. He took his hands off the bars for a second in a training ride and nearly ended his career. Oh, let's talk about something I hate. And this is not to say that I won't be goaded into doing it eventually if I have to, but this is a trend that I absolutely hate and kind of wish the UCI would outlaw. But the thing where guys, so like the bend of the bars is like this, and straight, guys take their hoods and do this with them so that they can grab on just to the tips of the hoods, like kind of in the middle like this. I don't know if you guys have seen this. There's definitely a guy on Root-Pot doing it. There's a few guys doing it. But basically, like, it takes your hand position if you're on the hoods from here to here. But a lot of guys are not holding like this. They're holding like this. So it's super weird. And my beef with it is that it makes your main position super unstable. So, like, riding with your hands on top of the hoods is like the position people ride in these days. Like that's how we're doing it in 2020. And that setup takes that position and makes it squirrely. Taco Vanderhorn, yes. Oh, if you guys want to see, I have a video where I rode Taco Vanderhorn on Zwift. Go back on my channel. I believe it's titled something about the Pro Tour de France. I dropped in with the Pro Tour de France on Zwift. Basically, I was doing the Zwift World Hack where I did find and replace in the actual Zwift pile to ride the French routes on Zwift before they were out, before they were officially released. And my plan was to get on there and ride one of the new France routes on this screen while I was watching the Zwift Pro Tour de France, the 3-stage. After doing this, the Zwift one pales in comparison, but you guys know what I'm talking about. When they did the Zwift Tour de France in July, watch that over here on my second screen. So I did, and I'm just out there riding. I'm riding along, watching the race. You know, normal weekend morning stuff. And then I realized on my mini map, I'm seeing the Pro Peloton. So quickly I realized they're coming up behind me. So what had happened was they Zwift did the thing where they made the Tour de France riders, I was hidden from them, but they were not hidden from me. So I was there. They just couldn't see me or draft me. It was like I was on a TT bike in Zwift. And basically, I jumped in with the front group as they came by. And I was hanging, but I was trying to like get my recording set up and stuff because, of course, I'm going to record that. But then I noticed there was like a gruppetto group behind that had Taco Vanderhorn, Bling Matthews, and it looked like they were kind of party pacing it a little bit. So I sat up, fixed my settings, and then rode to the finish with that group. But rode with Taco Vanderhorn, and once we came across the finish line, they could see me. They like, we all went into the same world. So for a second there, I was on Zwift with the entire Tour de France Zwift peloton, which is pretty funny. But yeah, Taco Vanderhorn, he's definitely guilty of the turned in levers so that you can, I guess, get more narrow on the bike, but it just seems so sketchy. Taco Vanderhorn, though, now that he's on yellow Lotto, no, they're not even Lotto, Jumbo Visma. I'm doing the thing. Now that he's on Jumbo Visma and they have those, actually the laser arrow helmet you see to my left, they have those in real life. There's a big flat plate on the front. They have everyone's name on there, which I love, but his just says Taco, which I'll let the bars thing go. It equals out with how awesome this helmet is. I'll give it to him. Oh yeah, I'm getting an incredible draft on this false flat downhill. This is good stuff. This looks like it's going to be kind of a long stage. At least it'll be long and relatively evenly paced. I am loving this group right now. I don't know if Drader is still watching, but Drader, keep it up. Let's keep this cohesion going. It was interesting. I guess it was yesterday. Oh, got a little hill here. Can't get caught out. Having Payne Griffin, a couple other fresh guys jump in, and they were doing like real fresh guy attacks, like where you actually snap and get a gap and then ride hard. And that was tough stuff. So I am trying to weld this together. You heard me talk about welding. The idea is bring the group up to the break, not jump across the gap, so that when you get to this guy, you still have plenty of help. Because we've got a long way to go. This is one of, in terms of kilometers, the longer stages. Although stage 15, so let's talk stage 15. That is the Queen stage. It's the two major Tour de France climbs, two HC climbs in their own right, back to back basically. Up one, small descent, up the next. And it's Telegraph and then Galibier. So that's gonna be the kingmaker for sure. So trying to make sure I come into that relatively fresh, feeling decent, trying to watch everybody's watts on this little uphill to make sure nobody goes ballistic. Looks like Bad Key might be going for it. All right, once again, gotta play the welder. Slowly bring this gap back. And then once I'm in the, now I just lay off. But also, don't let these guys go. Keep dropping in those gaps. Keep it together. So there's a lot of those little kickers later in this stage. I imagine it'll probably break up at some point. When it does, I want to be on the correct side of it. Like right now, this feels like we lost a couple. Yeah, Murphy says $20. Brazale tries to go solo between 5 and 10 payout. That tracks. Yeah. He's definitely the aggressor. Once again, you gotta just get right on the wheel. Wasting watts letting that gap sit there open. Murphy, you are the Lantern Rouge of RGT racing. How about that? Now I need a video where it's my whole race, it's this race, and then Murphy's like sitting in a chair on the side, sort of dryly commentating a la Lantern Rouge. If you guys haven't seen Lantern Rouge, really good breakdowns of World Tour races. Probably one of the YouTubers that I would say I look to for like good, insightful cycling content, which is what I'm trying to make. I know that, cool, Drader says one of the two hills coming up. Gotta make sure I stay on before it's downhill. I know that I'm not gonna be the absolute, okay, couch this. I'm gonna be as fast as I can possibly be, train as hard as I possibly can, wanna be an elite rider, but I know that I don't have the natural talent, nor do I have full, like, I don't dedicate all my time to cycling the way that a Elaborate or any like real pro does. So trying to bring a view from a very competitive race, but also a decent level of like analysis and insight. In the same way that Lantern Rouge definitely brings that to the pro peloton. I'm trying to do that for middling elite level local racing, I guess, slash e-racing, A category e-racing. I like to always say I'm the fastest of the slow or the slowest of the fast. Like when you put me in a pro race, I'm kind of in the bottom 1/3 or so. But when you put me in an amateur race, I'm in the top 1/3. So that's sort of my level. Let me get out of the wind here. My avatar is riding like a fool. Sometimes you do have to, in that scenario where you get hung out on one side or the other, you have to actually back off so that you drop back behind the guys and then accelerate like this. And then you'll kind of lock on. Once you're really locked on, you don't have to do a whole lot to stay there. Hey, so is the audio of those crowds coming through? Like when I pass a crowd, are y'all hearing that? I was seeing it on John Vidaway's stream the other day, and it was pretty cool. When he would pass a crowd, you'd get a roar of the crowd. Huh. Yeah, Billy, we're all upset about that. I think what is messing with Laverick's head there is that, so he's talking about Laverick not catching Deca. Ooh, okay, here's the hill. I think what was messing with his head there is on some of these shallower hills, watts per kilo, Deca is a much bigger guy than Laverick. So if they're doing comparable watts per kilo, Deca is doing way more raw watts. And on a hill that regularly goes under 5%, those raw watts start to come into play a lot more. So I think that's where the frustration was coming from. Also, just Deca does big numbers, and it's hard to catch. Let's see. All right, I've turned up the desktop audio a little more. Maybe you'll hear the crowd. I'm playing with it. Yeah, Giacomo says, would I recommend RGT for someone who's never used a turbo but likes cycling? I mean, I would say yeah, just because, for one thing, you can ride and race on here on a free membership. So if you do have access to a turbo or rollers and pedals or whatever, you can try it for free. So from that perspective, definitely. And then from the perspective of like, if you're coming to indoor training from outside, I also think RGT is like the most realistic. So I think it's probably, if you not already have Zwift in your mind, I think RGT will make more sense to you. I think a lot of the people who get frustrated with RGT are people who are coming over from Zwift and it doesn't work the same. And when they expect it to work the same, that's frustrating. Bob, that does not happen on RGT. On Zwift, your rider goes from the hoods when you're not drafting, or the drops when you're not drafting, to the hoods when you are. On RGT, they don't use that mechanic because it actually shows you up there. Right now, it says I'm saving 100 to 200 watts, and I'm drafting bad key. And when I swap over to Brazil, it tells me that. So rather than watching for your rider to sit up or not, it actually just tells you who you're drafting and about how much you're saving at any given moment. So that's much more specific than just having your avatar sit up a little bit when they're in the draft. I think another thing that catches people out coming over from Zwift is it doesn't give you that prompt to close the gap when you're falling out of the draft. So I think some people who are used to Zwift are used to kind of like watching for that, and when they see it, they put the power up a little bit. On RGT, you really need to be watching your avatar and where they are in the group. Like right now, I'm directly behind someone who's getting a great draft. Sweet. So Barry, are the crowds good? Not good? Too much? Too little? I was really just curious if I could get it in there, because it is cool. But let me know if I've gone too far. Oh, what do you guys think about this? Should I be multi-streaming to Twitch as well? I don't know. Something I'm thinking about. I definitely don't want to further complicate my pre-race setup. I already have a lot of things to switch on and fire up to get the stream going, but I think I could use a multi-stream service. Giacomo asks if I think a turbo is more inspiring to push harder. I don't know if inspiring. Okay, I got to sit in here. I'll tell you at the top. Got to make sure, yeah. There he goes. I knew somebody was going to go for it. All right, buddy. Let's get up. I'm just trying to keep my pace solid here. Because if I let up, I don't want somebody to fly by me and get a gap for free. But it looks like we're here. Cool. And then there were 5. Ooh, Batchy's off the back. Paying for his own, hoisted by his own petard. Giacomo asked if I think riding the trainer is more inspiring than IRL. I don't know if I would say inspiring. I will say it's easier to get a harder workout in less time. So I would say, like, for most amateur cyclists, you're time limited. You don't have the 20 to 30 hours that a pro might have to go just put gigantic aerobic miles in. So you got to make your time count. And because there are no stoplights, no cars, you can ride a course that suits your workout, or even just put it in erg mode and make your workout, make your trainer do your workout for you, basically. Make it lock you in at the right wattage. That really changes the game, and it really makes it so that you can get much more quality work done in a lesser period of time, especially if you can have your trainer sort of just set up and ready to roll. Like, I was saying, I got a lot of stuff set up, but honestly, if I wasn't streaming or racing or whatever, trying to do a systems check, I can be on the trainer and riding in 5 minutes, which is a lot easier than outside. And then if I ride outside, I have great riding from my house, but it's still going to be 10, 15 minutes of start and stop, spinning to get to somewhere that I could actually do my workout. So, you know, then that's 10 or 15 minutes on either end of the workout where you can just be straight into it. And being on the trainer so much during lockdown has helped me build my consistent power a lot, because the outside riding around here, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama. It's very hilly, but not mountainous, and it doesn't snow here, so they can just build roads straight up the hill, rather than like Colorado, where they're all graded 3 or 4%. They go a long way up, so you climb 4% for an hour. Here we have a lot of stuff that's 10% for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, which is good for building punchy power. Makes it hard to find a stretch of road that you could put down like a solid 40 minutes. Winter, you're in the south as well? Southeast? Oh, nice. Winter, so is Murphy. And a few other. So Wahoo is right there near you too. That's funny, so many southeastern people. Yeah, I've raced in Atlanta a lot. Yeah, Giacomo, there's a guy that has been racing. So I'm on, my real life team is called Shift. And we, yeah, I know Birmingham, UK. My real life team is called Shift. When COVID happened, I pretty much said like, hey, we should make an esports team. And guys like Murphy, a few people have been just jumping on and riding with us in these esports races, paying too. But we have a guy who I like jumped in. He's jumped in with the Shift team a little bit on RGT, named Ben, who is from Wales, but his name is Behan Phillips, which I thought Birmingham, Alabama was like Beham. I didn't realize Birmingham, UK was also Beham. So then everyone in the chat on the Discord channel was like, who's this Phillips guy? I don't know any Phillips that rides in Birmingham. It's like, see other Birmingham. Wrong Birmingham. Yeah, very different accent. So, do I have much of a Southern accent? I feel like I don't, but I don't know. People might be hearing it. I feel like my Southern accent just comes out random. Like, one word in every 20 will come out really Southern. I grew up in Muscle Shoals, which is where like Leonard Skinner recorded a lot, famously. I would say the Muscle Shoals accent is thick. Right, Winter doesn't think I have a Southern accent, but Winter's from the South. See, that's what I get is people from the South always tell me I don't have an accent at all. Yeah, the UK version is Birmingham. We say Birmingham. The Southern accent makes the A really wide. What's up, Garza? Welcome to the chat. Garza, I'm definitely in it for the dub, but I'm also in it for the most efficient ride possible today. So if other guys want to put moves in, let it be known I will stick those moves. But so we got a stage with 2 gigantic climbs coming up. Right. Winter, we're talking about accents. People from the South think I'm from the North, and people from the North know I'm from the South. Yeah, I feel like we could be New Birmingham, kind of like York and New York. UK Birmingham should be Birmingham, right, Garza? Yeah, Garza's right. The real win is the friends we made along the way. That is true. Oh, yeah. America stole a lot of things, Giacomo. It's not great. We do not have time to get into all that. I'm trying to keep my eye on the watts per kilo over there because it always looks like people are surging, but they're really just trying to get back on the wheel. You got to monitor that. And if you see somebody doing over, I normally say like over 5 watts a kilo consistently, and I'm talking about straight across right there. Everyone's names and then their watts per kilo next to them. If you see someone, you think maybe they're attacking, you look over and they're doing like 6, 7, 8 watts a kilo consistently, you got to stick that. That means they're committed. If you just see their avatar, fit up and take a couple hard pedal strokes, that doesn't always mean a lot. My avatar getting caught out there. Yeah, Drager is right. So that is one thing I think that RGT probably can continue to refine is the exact parameters for when your avatar stands up and looks like they're sprinting versus when they're sitting down. Because that's another Zwift thing. If you're used to Zwift, when an avatar stands up, that means somebody's really hammering. But it doesn't necessarily mean that on RGT. Really got to watch a little bit. Like Navin is only doing 3 watts a kilo. I imagine it has something to do with a significant change in wattage and or cadence. Murky, recently I saw, maybe this is just because I was going faster, but on the Pienza course, I saw an animation I hadn't seen before, going down a hill and then into a hairpin, where you kind of do that like crit racer, like knee out thing, and it looked better. But I think there may be something going on where you only get that animation either on a corner that's like more than 90 degrees or you're going a certain speed into it. But here's the thing. All of these things can be just like tweaked. Like this is just somewhere in the code it says like if you go up or down 20 RPMs, your avatar stands up, or like if you enter the corner at this speed, you put your knee out. So what I like about RGT is the dynamics of the racing are really good. And all this other stuff you can just build on top. But if you start with a bad engine, you can put all the bells and whistles on it you want, but it's going to be hard to undo that. So I do give RGT a little bit of slack because it's fairly new. But at the same time, it's pretty amazing that we can ride a bespoke course every day based on real Tour de France stages. The graphics look as good as they do. The drafting, you can actually break the race up, get a breakaway going, catch the breakaway. It's just, I don't know. It's good stuff. Yeah, I think I agree with Murphy. I think and they've been saying that they're actually using this event they're getting a lot of feedback because it's like such a big sample size. I think like 400 or 500 people have done these. Yeah, totally. Murphy says this is more like sim racing, whereas Zwift is more arcade racing. Yeah, I always say this is Forza, or this is that F1 simulator, and Zwift is Mario Kart. And I don't know, I honestly think that like how that analogy strikes you is a pretty good predictor of which one you're gonna like. Like if you hear that Zwift is Mario Kart, okay, consistent 5, so we got to get on that. Got a little bump here. Just got to monitor everybody. Make sure you don't get any shenanigans. This is a long stage. I'm glad this group's riding pretty efficient. So yeah, I think if you hear that Zwift is like Mario Kart and you think that's an insult, you're probably not going to like Zwift. But if you hear Zwift is like Mario Kart and you think, sick, I love Mario Kart, that's a fun game, you will like it. If I do think Zwift has a little bit of an identity crisis, being as cartoony as it is, but still trying to be like a serious training pool and racing platform. And I think that RGT has them beat as a racing platform, and Trainer Road and Sufferfest have them beat as a training tool. So really what they have left is the social aspect. Thanks for the heads up, Drader. Susie thinks billboards mark the top of the climb. So glad we got Rosale in this group. Keeping things moving fast. And we're leaning on him to do a lot of the work because a lot of the rest of us, I don't know if Bad Key's done every stage, but I know I've seen him out here. Drader, I believe Drader has done every stage. So anybody who's not coming off of 13 consecutive capacitative efforts, we're gonna look to them to set a little bit of pace. Navin is another guy I don't know, although he may just be someone who he just is getting the hang of RGT and just made the front group today. I'm not sure Murphy. Yeah, Blair did all 13. That's what I thought. Blair has been a rock solid soldier of the 0030 time slot, and I appreciate him for it. We've been up here slogging away. Anybody know about Bad Key though? I don't actually know. And Navin is a new name for me. I'm not sure about Navin. I'm thinking that I want to say that Navin might be someone who's raced some of the stages, but this is the first time like making this group. Bob, it's hard to say, but I do think that he asked if Vive La France, if I think it'll keep going on annually. Hard to say. It is like a ton of work that's pretty much community based. Like Team Walker KG, Marcus, Paul, all those guys have put in a ton of work. So it's really hard. Mooney says he's done 13 stages. Yeah, starting to suffer for sure. But I do think RGT, especially off the success of R0 and this event, whether it's exactly this or not, I would be very surprised if they didn't continue doing events like this. Like things that sort of mirror or follow along with real life races, sort of big mass participation, Grand Fondo style stuff. I think they will definitely keep doing stuff like this. And some of the beauty of it on RGT is they can do these custom courses for different events, and they can, or if the community, like say Vive La France isn't happening officially next year, someone from the community could just say like, okay, I'm going to make a bunch of magic roads and we're going to race them. Here are the invites, and just put them up in the group. And, you know, if they do a good enough job promoting, how it works on RGT is if you have more than 20 people sign up for your event, you can make an event if you have a premium account. You can make your own event, gives you a link. You can send that to whoever you want, post it wherever you want, and people can sign up. If you get more than 20, it shows up in the app officially. Like it's on everyone's race calendar. So even if there was no official Vive La France or whatever race, you could say, like Murphy suggested, 6 gap, which is a big Grand Fondo in Georgia. Me and Murphy could get out the GPX file, build it up, and put that event on if we wanted to, which is pretty cool. Okay, I think this is a pretty significant climb. Gotta monitor these guys. Back you with an effort. Curator with score for me. Ooh, good work, trainer. All right, I'll take the pull. I'll give you what I got. Oh, Drader, you're going too strong. Cap's still going out. Thanks, Barry. Gregor, when I pull through, you drop down to 3. I'll do 5. And you can catch your breath. I think because of our weight difference, you're just hanging out there to the side of me. So when I start taking a pull, I'm not going to try to drop you. We can mix it up in the last K. Trader, I'm down to work this all the way to the line. We're both on for GC. But when I take a pull, you probably need to back off a little. We could go the same speed. See, like, side by side like that. It's not doing either of us any favors. So if I'm doing 5, you do 3.5. Get in my draft. There you go. Tuck in there. There you go. So you can say big watts. Now I'll pull off here in a minute. You can take a strong one. All right. Yeah. So if you're sitting out there to the side, you're basically leaving watts on the table. We can go the same speed, or you can do a little less if you fully tuck in. Which can be hard mentally to convince yourself Thanks, Billy. Yeah, I feel like we got a good rhythm going here. All right, I'll take one. Good work. Nice. That's a 50. Yeah, Murphy, I agree. So good. That's how I know that him being a little to the left was wasting watts. Because when I'm doing that, I watch it. All right, you got one more, Drainer? Nice smooth handoff. Very nice. Ooh, well timed, Grader. Good move. Nice fast run. Let's see what we got there on the numbers. Woo. Good work, Blake. Good. 222. I wanted to get my TSS down because, again, whew, no stage tomorrow for me. And then we got the big one, Telegraph and Galivier, back to back. I'm going to be doing that 1830 British summertime, which will be noon-ish here in America. Yeah, I think so, Blair. Thank you, Garza. Appreciate it. So yeah, rest day tomorrow. Queen stage the day after that. Gonna try and come in fresh and smash the longest E-race I've ever done. Whew. Sweet, I'll see you there. Later, y'all. See you at 1830 VST on Sunday.